Serena said, I'm Lindsay, and we've had some great, amazing talks so far, so good job to everyone that's gone already. I wanted to start out my speech today by asking for a volunteer from the audience to describe a scientist to all of us in about like 20 seconds. So any volunteers? Abby!
To me, a scientist is someone who is able to ask questions that then they answer through experiments or observations.
Good, great. Now raise your hand if you were thinking of a white male in a lab coat while Abby was describing a scientist. I was too at the start of this project. So to start this off, my scientist always used to look like Albert Einstein in my head, crazy hair and lab coat and glasses and everything. But today I'm going to talk about socialization and the gender gap in STEM. So the mini study that we just did is very similar to the one that I conducted with a few kindergartners. In the study, I simply asked the kids to draw a scientist on a plain sheet of paper without talking to their neighbors. Then I told them to put their heads on their desks so they wouldn't peek, and asked a series of questions. Did your scientists have a lab coat? Were they a boy? Were they a girl? And here are the results. Out of 35 students, 18 of them being boys and 17 being girls, 12 people drew scientists in lab coats, pretty expected. 21 of them drew boys, 17 of these students being boys and 4 of them being girls, and 14 of them drew girls. However, all of these students were girls. After these questions I asked, even if you didn't draw a girl, do you think that girls can be scientists too? 29 out of the 35 students said yes. So here's some examples of some of the artwork that the kindergartners did. We have some zoologists, volcanologists, some potions as they call them, and animals and things like that. And so after the drawing we had some discussions. The kids started to name all kinds of scientists and I was so impressed. They were talking about zoologists, volcanologists, environmentalists, and of course bakers, because one drew it by a scientist with cookies. The kindergartners started to talk about how cool potions are and what scientists they wanted to be when they grew up, until one little girl, Magda, said something that really hit me. She said that she wanted to be like Sally Ride because she made a difference and showed that girls can be scientists too. Going into the kindergarten classroom, I had not expected to have as many girls drawn based on the trends of my other research. After finding out they had recently had a school assembly where Sally Ride, an actress portraying her, came, I was able to see the effect of socialization. So then I made 3 observations. Number 1, Sally Ride's an awesome astronaut. Number 2, 4 girls drew boys, but 0 boys drew girls. And finally, that gender socialization has a huge impact on children, as seen by the effect of having only 1 example of a female scientist. So now we're going to move on into the lifelong socialization of gender in STEM. In order to see the impact of the long-lasting effects of socialization established in childhood, this is some of the research that I did showing the continuity. One study I analyzed examined the effect of a child's gender has on caregivers. Dr. Caroline Smith gave random children to random mothers in a study. Boys were generally encouraged to play, while girls were talked to. One important case study was this of a child named Jamie. Jamie was introduced to one mother as a boy, and this mother did not hold Jamie's neck or head when they were holding him and introduced them with a wrench for their first toy. In the next child, Jamie was simply disguised in a pink dress, and the mom was told that the child's name was Jane. The mother told her how pretty she was, talked to her, and gave her a doll as her first toy to play with. Just by changing the child's clothes and therefore assumed gender of the baby, the mothers responded with 2 opposite parenting styles. This demonstrates the difference of boys encouraged with tactical skills, exploration and questioning, while girls are socialized by the importance of language development and even beauty. The effective difference in childhood development based on gender can be seen as a cause of the gender gap in STEM. Even from an early age, we are socialized by our surroundings. The tactical and spatial reasoning skills that is encouraged in little boys are crucial developmental and cognitive abilities that STEM fields require. They also encourage boys to explore, question, and reason. All these are the basis for the thinking skills in STEM. This difference in encouraged behavior continues as we get older. In an NPR podcast titled Hard Evidence, Unconscious Biases Contribute to Gender Disparity, their researchers collected 2 sets of math tests from students in Israel. One was graded by their teachers who knew their genders, and another was graded by a gender-blind independent group. The results? Their classroom teachers gave higher grades to boys and lower grades to girls than the independent group did. Another startling fact is that most of the teachers in this study and in Israel as a whole are women. So why does this matter? Well, if teachers are grading female students with lower scores than they should be getting, this leads to a discouragement of girls to pursue science and upper-level education. Even if this lower scoring is a result of an unconscious bias, the negative quantitative data socializing girls at a young age, in turn, establishes the basis for the gender gap in STEM. And believe it or not, the socialization of gender and its effects of women in STEM continues on. Through occupation and childhood, these trends continue. One article that I did research on, titled The Confidence Gap from The Atlantic, it explains that women are earning more degrees than men and make up half of the workforce, but even successful women like Clara Shin, who is the founder of Hearsay Social on the Starbucks board and had the highest GPA in her graduating class at Stanford, feel like they are less capable. One study to prove this is of Dunning and Erlinger, two psychologists. Participants were asked to assess their abilities before taking a short quiz. Women gave themselves a 6.5 on average, and men gave themselves a 7.6 out of 10. After the study, they were asked to guess how many questions they thought they got correct. Women said 5.8 on average, while men said 7.1. The results of this test showed that men got 7.9 questions correct on average, and women got 7.5 correct, which has a statistical significance of 0. Finally, a study at the University of Berlin created a text describing a stereotypical woman and one text describing a stereotypical man. Participants were asked to describe themselves according to the test, which was used as a priming method for the real spatial reasoning test, similar to this example that I have right here. Women primed with the female text scored an average of 3.86, and men primed with the female scored 5.14 on average. However, when primed with the male text, women scored 5.49 while men scored 5.33. Now you may be thinking, what? How did women score higher? It's STEM. Well, exactly. When they're primed with the socialization of a male, they were able to score equally as well and even higher than men. So what? The 3 studies demonstrate how socialization at a young age of gender superiority leads to the belief that women are less capable in STEM. Despite quantitative data proving that they have similar abilities, like the last 2 studies I showed, the non-tangible socialization has a greater impact. To get an outside opinion, I consulted an expert. For my expert, I interviewed Lariah Harrington, who is the Senior Manager and Director of Clubs and Summer Programs at Girls Who Code. She explained that the Girls Who Code mission as one to inspire equality and educate girls so that they have the skills to work in the 21st century. Not only tangible skills, but also provide a network to expose them to be able to continue in the future. How do they accomplish this goal? Through partnerships with tech companies such as GE, Google, AT&T, and IBM, as well as developing hard and soft skills, which are hard, the computer science portion, as well as soft skills presented through guest speakers and trailblazers in the business. They also have a mentorship program in which girls are embedded into corporate companies and receive a mentor that works for that company. And additionally, through programs such as the Hire Me campaign, in which 20 companies have agreed to provide internships to alumni of the program, and summer internships, which are like usually 8-week programs over the summer. Girls Who Code aims to reach 25% of the women needed to reach the gender parity, with women holding 70,000 of the 1.4 million jobs in computer science in 2020. So I asked Lariah, what do you believe the effect of gender parity will have in the future? Her response, honestly, a better world. With women, there's no reason why we aren't involved. Having women in the world design these products will make it more acceptable. The lack of a known presence of women in STEM has an impact. As Lariah said, you can't be what you can't see. So now we're going to do a little overview, look over at the broad, lifelong effects of gender socialization on STEM. So first, socialization at a precognitive level encourages boys to explore and question, which is necessary for STEM. This leads to the unconscious bias in schooling that continues the cycle of the belief that girls are less capable than boys in science and math. Lack of role models can discourage pursuing STEM as well. Women apply this gender identity that society defines for them, creating a confidence gap, and the idea that they can't succeed in STEM like men can. Females have experienced socialization that places them at a disadvantage in STEM, despite being equal in quantitative data. So the solution. How do we solve it? The gender gap in STEM seems like a pretty hard thing to tackle. And so I, through the research, figured out that we can be an agent of socialization, a Sally Ride to the world. My solution, as of now, is a website called Girls with Goggles. Girls with Goggles is a website that has a mission statement about the purpose regarding the gender socialization, also videos and like infographics about women in science so that students can have examples. Like just made one about Jane Goodall a couple days ago. It's a pretty cool infographic, you should check it out. And there's also a link to the sociology blog where all the research was conducted, and the best part, tutorials of fun experience to get kids involved in science learning. So I encourage you all to check it out. Also spread the word about the abilities of women in science because everyone can be a Sally Ride. Thank you.